You are now listening to the Sober Truth.
I am really excited to announce that this episode of The Sober Truth is brought to you by doTERRA Essential Oils and Supplements. Today's spotlight is doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack. It is a supplement that I take every morning and every night. It's great for general wellness and vitality. It gives you energy. It's great for the immune system. It helps manage stress. It's great for the cardiovascular system. And it helps keep your skin, your hair, and your nails healthy. It's also great for the eye, the brain, and the nervous system. It's good for the liver function and digestive health, and a lot more. I really feel a lot better since I have been taking this supplement. I have a lot more energy. I haven't been getting sick. I've been sleeping better. I recommend this to anybody who is just wanting to live a better life and feel better on a daily basis. For more information, you can email doTERRA for better life at gmail.com. That's DOTERRA, the number 4, betterlife at gmail.com. Just ask for more information on the Vitality Pack and more, and they will get back to you. And thank you for supporting this program. doTERRA for a better life. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the second episode of The Sober Truth. My name is JT Hawker, and I am your host. I wanted to take a minute to thank everybody who supported me in my first episode, those who reached out and gave me feedback. Really appreciate that. I know there was some problems with the sound and a couple of other things, but that's okay. It's a work in progress. I'm kind of learning as I go. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. It just has to be something that I enjoy doing and something that people might enjoy listening to or get something from. I was thinking about what I was going to do for this second episode and what I was going to talk about or who I was going to have on. And I decided that it would be kind of fun just to maybe talk about some of my own experience and maybe share, some of my own strength and hope and some of the things that I've been through that have got me to where I am today, that have helped me stay sober, that have helped me through one of the most difficult times in my life, that has turned out to be the biggest blessing and the greatest reward that I could have, more so than I ever thought possible. With that said, I do want to let listeners know that they can reach out to me by email. I would love to hear from anybody who has any ideas on what we could talk about on the show, or if anybody would like to submit some poetry or some artwork or some writings, anything that they would like featured, or an opportunity to come on and have a discussion about their own experience, strength, and hope. That email is jtthesobertruth@gmail.com. That's jtthesobertruth@gmail.com. I would love to hear any feedback, good or bad. So today I decided I would share a journal entry. It was something that I wrote back in February, towards the end of February, when I was kind of feeling a little homesick. I was kind of going through, some struggles. Um, with that being said, I need to give you a little bit of background of where I was, what was going on, and how I got there before I share this. Otherwise, it may not make as much sense to those listening who may not know any of that information. I was in California, Southern California, Encinitas to be exact. That's just north of San Diego. I was in a sober living house, and I was in an intensive outpatient program, and this was excuse me. this was the third time that I had attempted sobriety in 4 years. So it definitely was a time in my life where I needed to make some big changes because it was just getting worse and worse every time I relapsed. It was getting more and more difficult to get back up on my feet and get moving again. I had spent my third rehab in Dallas, Texas, and it was a really great program, really great 28-day, no, well, actually it was a 30-day program down there, really nice facility. I had some really great counselors. I had some really great role models down there, some really amazing people that I was in there with. And an opportunity had come up a couple weeks before I left to possibly go to an intensive outpatient in Southern California. And at first I was very reluctant to want to do that. I just wanted to get back home and get back to my life, what was left of it, actually, which wasn't much. But I felt like, this 30 days, this program, this time, I think I've got it. I don't think I need anything else. A sober living and an intensive outpatient for 6 months seemed pretty intense, and it seemed like something that I don't know, I was just reluctant to do. But, after a lot of thought and a lot of praying and a lot of soul searching, I decided that maybe it would be, in my best interest to do something a little different after this rehab, other than just go back home, just to go back to doing this, basically the same thing as I was doing before. I figured if the last two rehabs, hadn't changed anything just by going to rehab, then maybe this would be an opportunity to do something a little different, give myself a little bit more of a chance to survive this disease that was not only killing me, but it was destroying my relationships and, well, had destroyed my relationships and with my family, with my spouse, with my children, parents, pretty much anybody and everybody that meant anything to me in my life. After the second rehab, I did do sober living for about 2 months in Boise, and an intensive outpatient, for about 3 before I quit, before I felt like I already knew everything, that they weren't going to possibly help me anymore. So I knew if I went to Southern California that it was I was going to have to finish it. I was going to actually have to do it. And I made a commitment to myself that if I went, that I was going to give it my all, that I was going to give it 100%, and that I was not going to quit, because quitting just meant going back to the same thing and going back to what I knew, which was staying clean for a matter of months and then relapsing and then, ending up right back where I started, lucky to be alive. And who knew if I was going to make it through another relapse. This wasn't in the it wasn't in my mind that that's something I wanted to go through again. So I went to Southern California. I was very surprised at how great it was, when I got there, how amazing the men were, how amazing the um, program was structured, and I really started to develop some really good relationships with people in the program and some really good habits. And not only did I decide to commit to going through this entire 6 month and staying the entire time, but I made a commitment that I was going to give AA a shot, Alcoholics Anonymous, a real shot for the first time. I had gone through, NA before and some AA. I had sort of worked the steps, said I worked the steps. I had sponsors that I sort of called and didn't call, and I led meetings, and I did everything that looked good for other people, so other people would think that I was doing the program really well, but I really wasn't getting it. I wasn't really working an honest program. I wasn't committed to it, and I didn't believe in it. So I decided that this time I was going to give AA 100% as well. That it was my last shot. Like, it was the one thing that I actually hadn't tried. Everything else I had tried obviously didn't work because I was right back to where I started. So I made this commitment that I was going to take a year to do the steps, to get a sponsor, and to do the steps honestly and completely, and to give it everything I had. And if it didn't work, then it didn't work. But if it did work, then great. I mean, what did I have to lose at this point? Pretty much, everything, because I had nowhere to go. I had nothing left to lose. And although I can honestly tell you now, I didn't think it was going to work. I really, I just didn't. And I can attest to you now, sitting here almost 9 months sober, that I am blown away at the change that my life has had since I have worked the steps, that I worked them honestly, that I got a sponsor who I stayed in constant contact with almost on a daily basis. If it wasn't like a phone call, it was a text message. We met once a week to work on the steps, and I listened, and I took suggestions, and I let my pride down. And I can tell you it was the best thing that I could have ever done for myself, the best gift I could have given myself, and probably, my family and the people who love me. With that said, this journal entry was it was February 20th, actually not around, it actually says February 20th, 2021 at 10 p.m. I was getting close to the end of my stay there, and I was extremely homesick. I was having those thoughts that, I had learned everything I was going to learn. I had already gone through the 12 steps. I felt like I was ready to go home and, ready to continue AA here in Boise and get a sponsee and get a new sponsor up here. Just wanted to come home. I just was tired of living with a bunch of other guys. As much as I love those guys, it was difficult not having my own space, my own room, my own bathroom. Any sense of privacy is completely stripped from you when you are in a sober living house. And, I'm 49 years old, and I was very used to having my own space and having my own time. We were on a very tight schedule. I was working, so in between work and going to my IOP meetings and my counseling and my therapy and my AA meetings, there was very little time for anything but that. And this entry comes at a time when I was really just ready to say, I only have 4 weeks left. That's close enough to the commitment I made. I'm already doing more than what I thought I was going to do. So, I didn't really know what to write that night, and this is what I wrote, and I'm going to share it with you, and then share some thoughts about it. And I think that will be the show. So here goes. February 20th, 2021, 10 p.m. I'm lying in a small twin bed. Mattress on frame, to be truthful. No box spring for support. It sinks heavy in the middle, and lumps and bumps push into my shoulders and hips. Its wear is obvious, and I'm sure if the bed could talk, it would tell me stories of all the men through all the years that have worn it and aged it way before its time. It could speak of the large men, the small men, the young and the old, of men with beards and grizzly body hair and ones smooth and soft. Men that snored and shouted in their sleep, men that tossed and turned and bounced all night, men that lied and slept so still one might think them dead. It would account memories of men that wept here alone in the dark or laughed hysterically at their bunkmates' jokes. Of the men who prayed and prayed each morning and night, while others cursed at a God they didn't know or understand. These men, they came and went and came and went. Some seemed to change and thrive and come alive throughout their stay. Some never changed at all, and some even got worse. It would probably tell me of the men who read their AA books religiously and seemed so content, or of the men who read nothing at all and laid in constant fear. It would tell of men like me getting one last chance to get it right, blessed with the gift of desperation and willing to do whatever it takes to learn a new way of life. Lonely and homesick, but no longer alone. The men surrounded by support and acceptance and fellowship. Men like me with hope and determination, being grateful for the lumpy bed, because although uncomfortable and small, it provided blankets of warmth and a safe place to be while fighting for their lives. Tonight, I am truly grateful for the worn-out mattress that's got my back. The reason why I wanted to share that journal entry was not only for a message of hope, but for the message of the importance of having a community and having a 12-step program. I don't care, if it's AA or NA or CA or HA. just the importance of working that program, because like I said in that entry, I could be any one of those men, and I have been a number of those men that don't make it, that give up, or that don't see the need for community and support and a 12-step program. Because as far as my experience goes, it's literally the only thing that has saved my life. And reading that back is a reminder to me that just because I'm no longer in that sober living house, I'm no longer in that bed, doesn't mean that I no longer need to work my steps, to call my sponsor, to read my AA literature, to stay connected to a community. In fact, more so now, out of the safety bubble of that sober living house and the IOP is truly where I need it most, is here on the outside. And I have to say that it literally is a solid reminder that if I stop doing those things, that I may end up, back out there. I may end up dead. I may end up back in a sober living house. And as much as I loved it, that's not where I want to be. I want to be out here in the world. And I want to continue living this program. And I want to continue offering hope and being of service to other people out there struggling. I was also reminded when I was reading that of the men that I saw in the program that relapsed, that went back out. And thank God a lot of them, were able to make it back. And I can't even count, at this point, the number of men that did go back out. There were even several that, we never heard from again, which was disheartening and sad. And, it's a little scary when you see so many of your fellows, your people that you made really solid connections with, that you just never hear from again. You don't know if they're dead or alive, if they're struggling, if they made it back. It can be a little scary, but it's also a little bit of a healthy fear, because it's a reminder that, for me, I am no better than any of those men. I have just as much as a chance to go back out if I don't continue doing what I'm doing and continue to work a program. I was really sad to hear a couple weeks ago one of the men I lived with overdosed and died. He had a wife and a young son, and he was in his early 40s, younger than me. I just can't tell you how hard it can be sometimes being in the program and seeing it happen. But I know it's something that I need to get used to, because the honest truth is, and I don't know if the numbers are exact, but 2 to 4% of any of us that give this a try, and that's men and women all around the world, 2 to 4% actually make it. I would like to think that the numbers are higher, but those numbers are really hard to track because people are hard to track when they go back out. Oftentimes you don't hear back from them, but that doesn't mean that they haven't survived, that they haven't gone back in to the program. But what does it mean to me? It means that I need to be on my toes, that I need to be vigilant, that I cannot let my guard down because this disease is out to get me. And I'm not saying this to be discouraging. I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm just saying this because it's for me to survive, and it's reality. But the bright side is that there is a way, that a 12-step program that's free to us is out there, that for us to just learn and to grow and to take a hold of. Nobody's forcing it on me, but it's there. And thank God it is. And I just encourage anybody that's listening now that might be, just starting out like I am. I'm 9 months now, like I said. And just to keep going, to make sure that you're working a program, that you're reaching out for help when you need it, that you're calling those people that are on that list, that you're calling the people that support you. And if you fail, nobody's going to judge you. Just reach out. Just give somebody a call. You can always go back into the rooms of a 12-step program with open arms. In my experience, that has been the case. And I know that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I fall, that when I walk into those rooms, that people are not going to judge me, that I can call my sponsor and he is not going to judge me, that my peers that I have established a connection with are not going to judge me. In fact, not only are they not going to judge me, they're going to continue to love me. And that's what I feel in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. No matter where I go, whether I'm in California or back here in Idaho, the people are going to love me, and it's where I belong. And most of all, that I have a higher power that is there to guide me. I guess really what I'm trying to do is just offer some hope through my experience, and to let people know that the connections you make out there are important, and they're important to keep. We help each other through these tough times. We help each other stay clean and sober. For me, down in California, guys like, Ryan and Daniel and Asher and Seth and Tomio and Miles, these are all men that I built a brotherhood with. And I'm happy to say, even after being home over a month, I'm still in contact with them. And happy to say that they're all still out there fighting the fight like I am. And they're all still clean and sober. And I'm starting to make those connections up here. It takes time, finding the right meetings, finding the right people, and making those connections wherever I go is what's going to keep me sober and keep me going and keep me continue on working these character defects and just becoming a better human being. I hope that offers, some hope to somebody, to anybody that might be listening today. Not only have these connections helped me stay sober. They've helped me gain confidence, and working this program has helped me heal deep wounds in relationships that I've had. I'm really, reconnecting with my adult children, my 3 sons, and especially my oldest son, whom I look up to in more ways than you can imagine. He is absolutely 100% got my back and loves me unconditionally. And it's those kind of relationships too that are important to rebuild. And they can be rebuilt with working this program. I guess I can't say enough about it. But it's working for me, and I just want it to work for other people. And I want other people to enjoy life the way I'm enjoying life and reconnecting with their loved ones the way I am. So, with that being said, I believe I'm going to end this episode on that note, on the note that there is hope, and that if you are needing help, if you are struggling, to reach out, go to a meeting, build a connection, even if it's just one. And as for me, I'm going to continue living in that mindset of lying in that lumpy mattress full of gratitude. And that is everything. I would appreciate any emails if anybody has any suggestions for me, any ideas for some future podcasts, or if you'd like to join me on here and tell your story of hope and inspiration, you can email me at jtthesobertruth@gmail.com. Until next time, this is The Sober Truth.